All right, guys. So now we're going to try a different method to solve. The method that you choose to solve a three variable system is dependent on how the problem is set up, much like with a two variable system. So we're going to analyze the setup of the problem before we decide which method we're going to use to solve. So here's our next example. Looking at the setup of this problem, this looks like it's set up in something similar to what we were calling standard form for two variables, where all the variables are on the left-hand side and all the constants are on the right-hand side. You'll notice that I've lined up my A's, my B's, my C's, even with a lacking C right here, my equal signs, and my constants. And so everything's all lined up. And so that is telling me that for this problem, I should probably use elimination. Now, just kind of analyzing again the setup of the problem, I noticed that there's this huge gap in the last equation where it's missing a variable. It's missing the letter C. That's actually kind of already started the problem for us. So normally we have three equations with three variables in them, but in this problem, the third equation only has two letters in it, an A and a B. If I can create another equation with only an A and a B in it, then I can have a system of two variables, and I can solve that using what we were doing in our previous weeks. And so my goal in this problem is to create a second equation that only has a letter A and a B. I'm going to use these top two equations, and I'm going to eliminate the letter C. Now, I got really, really lucky in this problem, and the C's are already going to eliminate right now. I've got a positive C, and I've got a negative C. So they're already set up to cancel out. If that's not the case, you can always multiply the entire equation by a number, just like we did with our two variable systems. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these two equations and I'm going to slide them over somewhere else, and I'm going to work with just those. So these two equations, and they're still stacked on top of each other because we're doing elimination. Don't forget on elimination, you're adding. You're adding. So we're doing 3a plus 1a is 4a. 1b plus 3b is 4b. The c's will cancel, and then 7 plus 13 is 20. What I have created now is a two equation, two variable system. If I'm looking at just the very last equation that was given to me and this new equation that I created, I have the letters A and B, and I can solve this using what we had learned last week. These are still set up for elimination, so I am going to be eliminating another variable. This time I'm going to eliminate either the A or the B, and it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one you want to. I'm going to eliminate the letter B, and so I have a positive 4B over here, and I have a negative 1B over here. So if I multiply this equation by 4, then I'll get a negative 4B. And my negative 4B, my positive 4B will cancel. So that's what I'm going to do. Don't forget to multiply all three places. So 2 times 4, b times 4, and 1 times 4. And that gives me these equations. So I took my 4a plus 4b equals 20. I stacked that on top, and I multiplied this one by 4, and I stacked that on the bottom. And I'm now going to eliminate a different letter. So now I'm eliminating my letter B's. And when I eliminate my letter B's, I'm now left with only one variable. And so I'm ready to find my first answer. And my first answer is A equals 2. Okay? So in this problem, we had to do elimination twice. We noticed that there was a C missing here. So we decided to eliminate a letter C. And then we took one of the original equations and our brand new equation, and we eliminated a different letter. I chose to eliminate the letter B. You also could have chosen to eliminate the letter A. And after I did elimination twice, I found my first answer. So this now kind of takes us to where we were in our first video. We have one of the answers. We need two more answers. So we need to find our B and our C. When you only know one answer, you have to make sure that you are taking that answer and plugging it into an equation that contains that letter and only one other letter. So we need an equation that only has two letters in it, and one of the letters has to be the letter A, because I know what the letter A is. And so my choices right now for where I can plug in this number 2 is these two equations that I had up here. this one which has only an A and a B, and this one which also has only an A and a B. And it doesn't matter which one you plug it into. That's a personal choice that you can make. But just make sure you're not plugging it in up here because this has too many variables. We're not quite ready for that at this point in time. I chose to plug it into this equation because it had less numbers in it. So that was why I chose that. And so I put my number 2 where the letter A was. And now I'm going to solve for B. At this point in time, I now have 2 of my answers. But don't forget, we need 3 answers on these problems. Once you have 2 of your answers, now you can use one of your equations that had all 3 letters in it. And you definitely have to because the only letter we're missing is a letter C. And so we definitely want to choose an equation that actually has a letter C in it. You can choose from either of these 2 equations. It really does not matter. I chose the first equation because there were no negative signs in it. That was my reasoning behind it, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. So I plugged in a 2 for my letter A, and I plugged in a 3 for my letter B, and then I'm left with only the letter C, which is what I'm going to solve for next. And I get C equals -2. Don't forget your final answer needs to be an ordered triple. The order is alphabetical, so my A number is first, my B number is second, and my C number is third. If you don't put them in alphabetical order, your answer is considered incorrect. Don't forget, too, that you can always check your work. If you want to check your work, what you do is you take your 3 answers and you plug them into the 3 original equations. Now, you do want to plug it into all 3 equations because theoretically, if we did this correctly, every equation should be correct when you plug those numbers in. So you can plug in your A, B, and C, and hopefully it equals 7. You can plug in your A, B, and C, and hopefully it equals 13. And you can plug in your A and your B, and it should equal 1. If this ordered triple does not work in any of these equations, even if it works in the first 2 but not the third one, then you did get the incorrect answer, and you do want to go back and check your work. This concludes our second video for today.